You're listening to Game and Chat, where we level up with conversations about gaming then and now. I'm your host, Daniel, aka One to Switcheroo. So let's press start and game on. Alright everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Game and Chat, streamed directly to the favorite podcast platform. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, or all of the above to support the cause. And with that being said, everyone, we made it to episode 1. Finally! We are gonna get this started, so welcome everybody. Once again, my name is Daniel. And for those who don't know me, we did an introduction episode last time called episode 0 My Gaming Journey. So if you want to know a little bit of who Daniel is and what am I talking here on the microphone in the first place, I highly suggest you to check that out. Otherwise, if you want to just come here and talk about the Nintendo Switch and how amazing it is, you are on the right spot. So welcome everybody. We are here to get started with episode 1 today. It's all about my favorite console of all time, the Nintendo Switch, and how it has evolved the past 7 years from being an underpowered, underappreciated, people didn't have faith in it, to now become maybe the most successful console of all time. And it's not too far from the PlayStation 2 or the DS. So we're going to take a peek of each year of how Nintendo Switch became the staple of gaming and why it's still to this day successful, even when we're about to get the announcement of the successor. But I still think we have a little bit left on the plate to surprise everybody. So without further ado, let's get started with episode 1 of Game and Chat, Nintendo Switch, 7 years later. And of course, it all started that fateful date of October 20th, 2016, on which the day before, Nintendo just put an announcement saying that they were gonna announce their faithful console, at that time named NX, or that was the code name, I should say. We were all after huge speculation of what Nintendo was gonna come up after the failure, marketing-wise, of what the Wii U is. Which, by the way, I want to take a little moment because I feel people dunk on the Wii U way too hard. I think the concept was great. The little games that they have, they were really good. I mean, Wind Waker HD still looks amazing to this day. It's just very unfortunate that it got mixed up with the Wii and the confusion, and then the marketing, and then of course all the issues that come up with. So make most of the developers to pull out on putting third-party games. But it's not a bad console overall. I mean, if you have the chance to get one before they became extremely valuable or extinct at all, it's a nice piece of tech. You know, it's basically an early concept of what the Switch is going to be. And, you know, some of these exclusive games still have some value, and they might even play better on the platform. I mean, one of the examples of that is going to be the Pikmin games. I think Pikmin 3 still plays better on the Wii U than the Switch version, at least just by judgment, because I haven't played it myself, but what I've read and heard, it's that's the case. But hey, in the end of the day, it was not the brightest moment for Nintendo, and the brightest years after that failure marketing-wise of the Wii U. So they needed to come up with something different. They needed to come up with something that was pretty much their idea of the Wii U, but fully realized. Like, if they weren't pressured to release the Wii U the year that they released it, what could have been if they wouldn't give him a couple more years? The problem was that the Wii was already way underpowered when it came out, and yes, while it was fun, it was one of the most successful consoles and sold more than the competition. It was still an underpowered console, and technology and graphics weren't keeping up. So they needed to do a quick change. They needed to do a drastic change of measurements. Of course, Nintendo has never been known for being a powerhouse in terms of graphics. I would believe the last time they were very comparable, of course, in the GameCube era. Some of the games that came out on the GameCube and came on other consoles actually look a little better on the GameCube at the time. But then again, not a very high grossing console either, so that affect also the development and the way to put games, especially with the mini disc format. But we are getting ahead of the subject. What I'm trying to say is that Nintendo needed to shake things up, and if anything that Nintendo is good at over the years, even when the few failures or few issues that they had throughout their lifespan, is how to shake things up in the best way possible. And that's what the Switch did on that fateful day, again, October 20th, 2016, on which they show a trailer and we show a console that were playing the brand new Zelda game that did it have the name yet? I don't think so. I think it was just showing footage. And suddenly this dog starts barking at its owner while he's playing the game on the console, and then the guy just picks up the console from the dock and the game just seamlessly continues on the screen. And that's where we get the first Nintendo Switch finger snap, I don't know how to call it, but and then everything went from there. Of course, the whole concept of the hybrid system that nobody at the time seemed to be possible. Yes, we had the Nintendo 3DS, and to think that we can have a console-like handheld that we can just take anywhere and play our games natively, it was something a little bit unexpected. And then when we saw it come to fruition, everybody just started to go crazy on that concept. The trailer kept going, they show the guys playing basket and they stop playing basket so they can play NBA on the Switch instead of playing the real thing. And then, of course, we got one of the first memes of the Switch slide, which is Miss Karen, Switch rooftop girl, just going to a rooftop party and bringing her Switch to play Mario Odyssey. And because, of course, that's what everybody does in the party. When somebody comes and browse their Switch, they stop the party just to play video games, right? But anyway, of course, they show people playing on the plane. The guy playing Skyrim. It was the first time they would show Skyrim on a Nintendo console, which was mind-blowing at the time. I mean, again, Skyrim, yes, an old game, but the impact that game caused in the gaming industry, it's nowhere close of underappreciated. If anything, is one of the most influential games of all time. And the fact that now people that have been Nintendo fans and they haven't had any other consoles get the chance to try it on a very unusual way on the go, it was just amazing to see. I do recall right after the trailer, I think a few months passed by and they did this preview event in New York City that you had to sign up. I was lucky enough to be able to sign up and got to try the Switch before release. It was very very nice. We were lining up from early today, and then we just go to this convention center in a hotel in New York City, and there they were. They're giving hats. I still have my hat that says Nintendo Switch till this day. Still intact. I still love it, and just brings back the memories of how amazing that day would be. I mean, it was kind of my first event as a content creator without being a content creator then, because I wasn't still streaming or anything like that. But when I got there and we saw the console for the first time, I played Breath of the Wild. And I played Breath of the Wild, I played Mario Kart, and I played... did I play 1-2 Switch? I don't recall. And I don't blame myself for recalling that shameful experience. But anyway, just the console itself. I just remember for the first time I grabbed the Pro controller, I was like, oh my god, this is like the most comfortable controller to date. I would say now maybe the PS5 controller is even better, and the 8-bit Do Ultimate that I currently own became my favorite controller overall. But the Switch Pro controller was one of the most good feeling controllers I ever held. And then after playing Breath of the Wild for like 15 minutes, it was like the best 15 minutes of my gaming life when I was trying out that game. And yeah, I didn't play long. I didn't quite understood what was going on at first, but it was just awesome. And then they had this little set where it was like the window of a plane, and you had these like plane seats, and then you get to play Mario Kart with the Joy-Cons on tabletop mode, and it was just awesome. It's like, oh my god, this game that I literally played yesterday on my Wii U, I'm playing it in this little screen on the go, running at 60 frames per second. Just looks as good, if not a little better. It was just amazing, and all the descriptions of like how the Switch exactly works, the HD rumble with the Joy-Cons, holding the Joy-Cons. I mean, of course, today, looking back, of course, the Joy-Cons, there's a lot of room for improvement, but just the technology behind it during the announcement, I guess during the honeymoon era of the Switch of the first year, it's just amazing that such a little controller like device case can hold up so much technology. Of course, that came at cost of Joy-Con drift, which we're gonna touch base later today, of course. But it was just the fact of, this little controller is so tiny, so cute. The colors were vibrant. When they showed the neon blue and the neon red, it was just amazing. And, they might have these issues, but I still love my Joy-Cons, and I have almost every color at this point. I might just miss the exclusives. And I hope they work for the next system if it comes out, because that's going to be very painful if they don't work at all. But it's a very nice memory that I had. And of course, the system came out, and I was working that night. I had to work overnight, so my boyfriend, now husband, was very nice enough to go pick up the system for me, so which I really appreciate. That such a gesture that, who knows, he will lead me into marriage 7 years later. But here we are. And of course, we got the Switch. We got the console. Is here. It's out 2017, March 3rd. The day is here. And it's been a non-stop playing. I remember working overnight, taking my Switch with me, playing Breath of the Wild. Basically, I had probably, 2 hours of work. And then the rest of the shift was just me playing Breath of the Wild. It was just such a wonderful feeling to be able to play a fully fledged console game on the palm of my hands, and just an amazing feeling. First year of the Switch, of course, it was more about the console and more about Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is a game that takes your time, so of course there weren't very many games that were released along with it. There were some minor games, snippet clips. It's very nice, very cute little game that got released the same day as the system, I think. You just bought it on the eShop. Super Bomberman R, not very fan of, and a few other little games that came up with. Of course, we had later in the year, I think April, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was the port of the Wii U, which of course is Mario Kart, and everybody think it was going to be just a port. Jokes on us, probably like 5 years later after it came out, that we were gonna get double the amount of tracks, but again, more on that later. And of course, we touched about Splatoon 2 also, that came out that year. Splatoon being such a successful new IP that came from the Wii U, one of the few games that made a splash literally on the Wii U, and now the second iteration of the Switch. It was such a big deal to have on the first year of the system. And of course, to crown the launch year of the Switch, we got Super Mario Odyssey on October of 2017. About a year later that the Nintendo Switch was announced, that they showed the game back in the day on that trailer, just for a tiny little bit. So we knew a new Mario was coming. And of course, Mario Odyssey, again, one of my favorite games ever. Keep switching in between Mario Galaxy 2 and Mario 64. It's always going to happen. It has a very special place in my heart, as you guys heard on the first episode. So what a great year. What a great year to start with a new console, getting the new Zelda, getting the new Mario, getting Mario Kart, and then 2018, it was all about Smash Brothers. 2018, Of course, we have other launch titles. I believe we got the Fire Emblem Three Houses came in 2018 or 2019. I think 2019 was Fire Emblem Three Houses. But anyway, the main focus of 2018, I would say, is more the expansions of the game library. We started to get in the possible ports. We're talking about Fortnite, of course. Fortnite exploding in the past couple of years, now coming on the Switch, so people can play on handheld mode from the comfort of their couch or their toilet, whatever you want to call it. But it was all about that Smash Brothers announcement that happened on the first Nintendo Direct of 2018, and how everybody thought that it was going to be a Splatoon expansion or DLC of anything for Splatoon 2. And then we saw the Inkling eyes light up with the Smash logo, and then just everything went down. And then, of course, we got the release, and we got that amazing trailer from E3 2018 where we get the caption, "Everyone is here." And I actually watched that at the Nintendo New York store here in New York City, and the reaction was just mind-blowing. It was just amazing. And to think that, again, this is a console that is not even close to powerful as the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 back in the day, and the amount of content that Ultimate was just putting out from the beginning, even before the DLCs came out. Just bringing back all the characters from the previous iterations and watch it happening in front of your eyes. It was just amazing, and it was something mind-blowing to see. And literally the highlight of that year was basically the hype of the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that ultimately happened on December that year. We can also mention a few things of 2018. Of course, we got the introduction of Nintendo Labo, combining gaming with DIY cardboard creations, which in concept, it sounds great. I feel like they really, of course, Nintendo has to come up with wacky ideas on how to innovate and implement that to their gameplay. They actually made some of these kits to be compatible with some Switch games like Mario Kart, with the little bike handle that you create. The VR headset, VR headset, very quote unquote, of which you could play, well, not play, but more like look around in Breath of the Wild in a 3D environment. And I think they did it also with Mario Odyssey up to some level. Again, it was a great concept. I don't think that it was meant to be long lasting, just because the practicality of having cardboard boxes just laying around. Let's face it, nobody was just gonna grab that and start playing in every day of their life. But it was a good concept nonetheless, very innovative for what is gonna come next in terms of technology wise. And 2019 came in. 2019 we got the first revision. Of course, the debate of whether the Nintendo Switch is a home console or a hybrid console, it's always been across our minds. And and some people might say, hey, I just like to play it on handheld. I travel a lot. I don't have a chance to play on the TV. I just would like the Switch to be slightly smaller. That feels more of like a iteration of a new Game Boy. And that's how the Nintendo Switch Lite came to be. Nintendo Switch Lite, price point $200 if I'm not mistaken. Lighter version of the Switch, undockable, which kind of like beats the purpose of the name, if you ask me. But I would call it Nintendo Switch Lite. Maybe it doesn't come with the dock, but you'll still be able to dock it somehow, maybe with a cable. I feel that would have been a more plausible solution, instead of just getting rid of that. You can't just dock it on the TV anymore. But still, cute console nonetheless. The only console that had a D-pad for whatever reason. So I guess that's kind of like the biggest selling point of the Switch Lite. I would say it's just the D-pad on the left side. But just a lighter version of the Nintendo Switch that is exclusively on the go. So it's still a pretty nice addition to the family of systems. In regards of games, of course, games keep expanding. We got the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake on that beautiful, beautiful art style. Literally the better experience if you are playing that game for the first time. Again, Link's Awakening is such a wonderful game. Very heartbreaking story too. I feel like I'm very drawn into heartbreaking Zelda stories in general. Link's Awakening is actually right below Majora's Mask and the other two, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Ocarina of Time, in terms of story, because again, it's such a pretty game. But then as you realize what the game is about and what you have to do in order to beat it, it really comes of a moral dilemma. Like, should I just stop playing and let everybody live, or should I go on with my mission and erase everything and everyone? So yeah, definitely a game that got the better version and the good Switch effect and Switch treatment as intended. And of course, we have to mention Super Mario Maker 2. After the huge success of Super Mario Maker 1 on the Wii U, now we got the second iteration of the Switch to keep it going. Some people might say that some of the one features are better than the ones introduced in 2. On my honest opinion, I enjoy Super Mario Maker 2 for what it is. Yes, it could have done a couple of things better in terms of accessibility, things that removed that they didn't need to remove. They should just leave. And we know that the Switch was more than capable to handle those. And of course, we got the release of Fire Emblem Three Houses, one of the first, if not the next Fire Emblem iteration on Nintendo platform, with the three houses and like the three different endings, and basically it's 3 games in one. Once you make your choosing, you just need to go over the game one more time and experience all the stories at once. But again, more Smash reveals. We got the sweet reveal of Banjo-Kazooie on E3 2019 that I remember I even ended up lightheaded of how much I screamed. And I was so happy and I cried. And up until this day, I still play and I still can't believe the guys are in the game. After I've been waiting for so long since Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. And of course, we got everything that came after, because after that was 2020. We got the pandemic, and of course all the implications that happened. Everybody had to lock himself in for basically a whole year, maybe a year and a half, and just know how the popularity, instead of hurting the Switch sales, they actually made it even better. And not only that, we got the announcement of Animal Crossing on the latest direct before the end of 2019. And then how this game that, everybody that knows Nintendo and own a Nintendo console knew about Animal Crossing. We liked it, we loved them, but now it became such a cultural phenomenon because it was just a way for us to communicate and go outside while being inside. I know it sounds a little off-putting, but it's just that people that never thought about this game were using it. People that had to resource on this game to make a profit in their lives. We had content creators, we had artists, we have hosts that use Animal Crossing as a platform to keep going with their work from home using a Nintendo game. The best example I can get from this is Animal Talking, hosted by Gary Whitta. The fact that he had so many people to get a Switch to play Animal Crossing just to get them into the show, and like how that draw a lot of people into the game. And people are starting now creating their own talk shows, their own events, and it was just such amazing to see how again, a game that, yes, it was gonna be successful from the get-go, but to sell more than 30 million, maybe even 40 million up to this point, copies in general, it was just like amazing. And you know, as bad as the pandemic was, and don't get me this when I say this, but like I think the pandemic is like the best thing that could happen for that game in particular. And you know, for Nintendo sales in general, because even despite being chip shortages and not be able to find the consoles on the streets, which is because everybody was getting a Switch so they can play Animal Crossing, because we couldn't do anything else. And it really brought the world together, at least the gaming world, and some people from the non-gaming world were introduced to this world thanks to this game. So definitely a pivotal point, 2020 for the Switch. 2021 came in and we got another revision of the Switch, which, funny enough, everybody was already speculating about a potential Switch 2 or a more powerful revision of the system, because then we started to get the rumbles of the Steam Deck. So like, what's Nintendo doing? Like, you know, like it's been 4 years since the Switch got announced, and then 3 years since it got released. It needed a refresh. It needed something to stand out now, because again, technology is starting to keep up, and things are starting to look way behind, especially now with the release of the PS5. But then, you know, Nintendo said basically, listen, yes, the pandemic really took a hit on us, and yes, there might report them saying that yes, the successor was supposed to come out during those years, but instead we decided that, hey, our system is going way too strong. We can still kick other consoles' butts with the games that we have. All we have to do is put it on a better screen, and that's what they did exactly with the Nintendo Switch OLED, which released that year. And what a better way to release it with also the release of a dormant franchise for more than 20 years, a game that was teased on an early Metroid game, and that today on 2021 we saw the light of day, and that is Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread was such an amazing and a smart way to showcase the new OLED screen on the system. All the details, the pitch black of the screen when you were going in darker areas. Samus itself never looked so good. I gotta be honest. Nintendo Dread's Samus design, it is the best in any Metroid game, in my little humble opinion. The game itself, the Emmys, the whole chasing thing that came back from Metroid Fusion, and they just turned that in up to 10 times with the Emmys, and all the game concept, and then the final product overall. It was such an amazing and hard, I had to say. Metroid Dread is difficult. There's some of the bosses that were like really difficult in that game, and I'm actually very proud that I was able to beat it, as well as my husband was able to beat it, which is such a huge achievement itself. So I'm very happy that he was able to do that too. And but anyway, back to how the OLED basically revitalized the Switch, because now the games had an extra layer, like an extra pop of color. You will put back Breath of the Wild, it looked amazing and as vibrant as ever. Mario Odyssey looks really good too, and yeah, it wasn't much of an improvement in terms of performance, but just the screen alone, it was a nice refresh in the end. Yes, we got a little expansion on the memory. We went to 32 to 64 gigabytes of storage, which still nothing, but hey, it's something. Thumbs up. But it was a little refresh that was much needed, and even when they wouldn't go beyond the screen, it was still nice to have. I have both systems. I have my old Nintendo Switch, and I go back and forward. I'm not very picky. I can still feel like I can play on my older Switch, but then I go back to the older screen, and it's like, oh my god, yeah. I mean, it's very hard to overlook the improvement in terms of the quality of the picture on that game. Of course, 2022 came by, and now we're starting to feel that now it might be time to get that refresh on the Switch in general, if not a successor. But again, Nintendo say, hey, we don't need that. Hey, here's a couple of banger games also coming out in 2022. Let's start with the first ever Kirby game in 3D called Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Great game. Amazing what they did to Kirby, that I still wonder to myself why they haven't done this so many years ago. Literally the best Kirby game ever came just on the Switch in 2022, 5 years on its lifespan. Of course, this comes on the celebration of the 30th anniversary, so of course they have to go out in a bang with the first ever Kirby game, and I hope it's just the first of many, because again, a great game. They actually turned my husband into a Kirby fan. He didn't like Kirby up until that game, and now he's sold. Of course, we got Splatoon 3, the third iteration, 2 iterations of Splatoon on the same console, which is kind of I don't want to say unprecedented, but it's a little bit like unexpected. You know, you would think that Splatoon 3 would go on the new console, which leads to believe that the OLED in 2021 was supposed to be the new console, but of course with the chip shortage and the restrictions, they had to push that back. And of course we got our mainline Pokemon games, Pokemon Legends Arceus, new take on the formula, and honestly my favorite take on the formula since ever. That came out in January, and then we got Pokemon Scarlet and Violet down the line in November, which, you know, Gen 9 still, you know, very excited for a new gen. Yes, I enjoyed the game, but we cannot ignore how underwhelming in terms of performance and bugs that game came out, and that's something that needs to be addressed on some sort of level. And finally we got Xenoblade Chronicles 3, of course, on July 29. For what I heard, is the best Xenoblade game of the franchise as of yet, and all the content that came after made it even better. Not very fond of the Xenoblade formula, not because of the game itself, more so because of gameplay. I already struggle with menus in general. When you put a lot of icons on the screen, you instantly lost me. I feel like for Xenoblade, that's what happens. I will pick it up again and try again at some point, but I'm not rushing it, to be completely honest. But yeah, the Switch keeps getting support. The Switch keeps getting good games, even late of its lifespan. And you thought that 2022 was good, wait until you see 2023, which you already just lived just now. And we can say that started right off the bat with the surprising release of Metroid Prime Remaster. Probably up to date, one of the best remasters ever made. You know, something that literally came out of the field. Like, yes, there were rumors back in the day that they were gonna port all the previous 3 Metroids to the console in some sort of shape or form, but that's been rumored since literally probably like 2018, 2019, and you know, at this point we were just like, it's not gonna happen. Like, just people keep getting like cloud, but hey, turns out they were partially right, because like I said, we got Metroid Prime Remastered. Just saying it is just incredible. Not only because how it was just announced on the Nintendo Direct, it wasn't even like a feature game that they will like make the cut to the black screen and then they will show a full-fledged trailer of the game. It was literally one of the slideshows, like the little headlines that they do. But what a big headline that was, and the fact that it was Shadow Drop, a game of that caliber, just to get the hype up for Metroid Prime 4, I think it's very, very, very smart move from Nintendo to be able to do that. We got a physical version a couple of weeks after. I actually was able to get the digital version right away, and then I pick up the copy, because that thing is gonna be valuable in the end of the day. I'm not selling mine, but you never know if you can find it now with shortage right now, and especially now that it seems like we're heading to an all digital world. Buy your copies, buy your physical copies, people. You're gonna greatly appreciate them in not too long in the future. But anyway, back to Metroid Prime Remaster. What an amazing game! How good looking it is. And it was just mad surprising. Coming from Metroid Dread, which was an amazing return to the 2D style of Metro, the traditional Metro, how everything started, and now just getting the remaster of one of the highest rated games of the year. Which, again, people might not consider it because it's just a remaster. It was a faithful remaster of the original. But, dude, that looked like a freaking remake. Like I said, might have been the best remaster on every game in recent years. It's just amazing. I still need to finish it. I'm stuck in like one of the final areas. It just got pretty tough. I died several times. I said, you know what? I want to take my time. I'll get back to this because I actually don't remember finishing the one on the GameCube. I think I kind of skipped to the final level somehow. But what an amazing experience, and I look forward to finish the remaster this year. Among other games we got this year, of course, we got another iteration of Fire Emblem Engage, if I'm not mistaken, released in 2023, early 2023. Again, another Fire Emblem. Not my cup of tea. I did play Fire Emblem Fates on the 3DS, and I really enjoyed it. But then it just became a little too common. Yeah, I mean, if I can sit down and have time to dedicate myself to these games, I will. I heard the Fire Emblem Engage is not too long, so maybe I'll pick this one off eventually to give it a shot. I heard like mixed reviews, but overall positive, so I might take a look in the future just to see what it's about. We got another remaster, which was Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. We got better visuals. The art style changed a little bit on the characters and everything, and then we got all the extra content with the Magalore epilogue in the end that I haven't played it, but I heard really good things about it, and that whole section of mini games that is very like a la Mario Party style. They really did a good job. Kirby keeps crushing it every year. So I feel like the love for Kirby increased exponentially the past couple of years, and Forgotten Land really did a number to put a little pink puffball on the map of like trending mascots of Nintendo, because it's out there with Mario, Link, and Samus also making the comeback. We finally got the release of Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, I think it's called. That it's been delayed since, of course, real life events that started happening 2 years ago when it was supposed to be released. Finally got out. People seem very happy with it. Another remake of remake/remaster from the Game Boy Advance era. Very popular game. I think it was a launch game from the Game Boy Advance. I'm not sure. On May, of course, the one and only The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Up to this day, my favorite Zelda game in terms of gameplay. I already mentioned that before. It is just, I mean, I'm still playing it. I just picked it up because my husband picked it up also, so I started helping him. I said, you know what, I'm gonna get back to it, and I'm hooked. So I stopped playing Final Fantasy 16. I haven't finished yet. God of War Ragnarok, which I haven't finished it, just to get back at Tears of the Kingdom, because it's just that kind of game that will draw me back and draw me in, and keep going until I completed. I recently found the last light route, and I was extremely disappointed with the reward. But it's just a sense of like accomplishment that I now have to go for the shrines. Of course, I'm at 114, I think, so not that many to go. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna do all the Koroks. That will take a lot of me, but I just cannot deny that every time, if it's Zelda, I'm gonna be hooked immediately. And Tears of the Kingdom really shake things up on regards to its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. The discourse between which game is better, of course, it's Breath of the Wild will always be the first love. The first love, like the new Zelda formula, the open world, the freedom of choosing. and how to shape your way through the game your own way. And then Tears of the Kingdom basically take this premise and turn it up to 100 with the crafting and the ultra hand and fuse, all the millions possibilities, all the craziness that you see on the internet. That's what Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is all about. But I will respect that Breath of the Wild, of course, like I said, is the first love. It's the first, like, oh my god, what an incredible game feeling. Tears of the Kingdom is more of on the side of like, this is even more incredible than I remember. But Breath of the Wild will always be the first love for sure. Moving on, we have another surprise announcement, which was Pikmin 1 and 2. Ported out to the console. I believe Pikmin 1 got a little of a remastered treatment. The remastered cutscene, Pikmin 2 likewise, but the gameplay pretty much remains the same. Of course, leaning towards to the eventual release of Pikmin 4, which I have to say, it was the surprise of one of the surprises of the year. I haven't played it yet. I played a little bit of the demo, but it looks as charming, and it actually looks really, really good. You know, the graphical showcase of the little I play, it looks really, really nice. And you know, I'm glad that I actually put Pikmin on the map. I know a lot of people that this was the first Pikmin game, and they fell in love with the series. So it's really nice to see that I even got recognized back in December at the Game Awards. Really, really well deserved for Pikmin. It really needed that boost. We got the announcement and then the eventual release of the next 2D Mario game, which was Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Wow, wonderful! What can I say? What a very, very well crafted 2D Mario game. We really, really needed this breath of fresh air, this shake up on the formula. We were so drought on this new Super Mario style since like the DS. The DS, we've been dragging that along for more than 10 years. It was about time for a shake-up. And what a big shake-up that Super Mario Bros. Wonder was. We played it on the 20th. And ironically enough, it was almost a week of Mario Odyssey. Released back in 2017. I think it was October 27, if I'm not mistaken, or the 28th. So me and my husband have another Mario anniversary. We normally play Mario Odyssey every year. So now we had to put Mario Wonder in the mix because we really enjoyed the heck out of that game. We both 100% it. And it was a great experience. Really, really fun time. I think it's too much to ask to release, so they can release DLC just to keep it living a little bit. Of course, once you beat it, it's like, okay, I beat it. I have no reason to go back to the game. The only thing I will go back to the game because it's new, I will start it over and will happily beat it again. But I wouldn't complain if a little DLC will come up here and then. And finally, on the first party area, we got another announcement and another sweet announcement and release eventually of Super Mario RPG, a faithful remake of the original Super NES. As I said before, I never owned an NES, Super NES before, so I don't have that nostalgia for this game because I do remember playing it a couple of times, but I was on the impression that, oh, it's a Mario game, it's a 2D side scroller, and then I didn't see that. I was like, oh, what the heck is this? I don't want to touch this. But after playing it for a while, and again, I'm enjoying my time, but for some reason I keep going back to Zelda, and I need to finish all these freaking games that I have behind. But don't get me wrong, it's not because the game is bad, all quite the contrary. I totally understand the hype. What a great story. The dialogue is very, very funny, very, very memorable. I finally understand why people are so obsessed with Geno, to the point that they wanted him in Smash Brothers for so freaking long, after I ditched a couple times that who's Geno, why people would want him in Smash, he's such an irrelevant character. He's actually really freaking cool, so I'm gonna give you that, Geno fans. You were right on that aspect. I know I only scratched the surface because I'm probably like 20% in the game so far. But I can already tell that his the concept of Geno and what it is and his purpose really resonate with us kids of the 90s that had the chance to play that game. Not in my case, but I totally understand where you guys coming from. I totally respect your passion for this character. So I look forward to share my thoughts in the game very, very soon once I finish it. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones I can probably go on top of mind in terms of 2023. It was loaded, my friend. Might have been the best year in gaming in terms of game releases. Just overall, not talking about only Nintendo, PlayStation and even Microsoft have a couple bangers 2023. Starfield, to name a few. Did Horizon Forbidden West came out last year? Or was the year? Oh no, it was the year before. I think it was the year before, yeah. We had also Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation, which I'm playing right now. Again, it's amazing. Again, a really, really good remake / remaster, whatever you want to call it. Very, very well done. And just to name a few of the amazing games that came out in 2023, Final Fantasy 16 also. Wow, such a great cinematic experience so far. The story, I'm getting to the point that I'm getting hooked. I need to get back on it. I'm sure I'm gonna love it. The voice acting is on point on that game too, so kudos to Ben Starr, who plays Clive. Great job so far, my man. And but yeah, I mean, it was very, very, very busy year in gaming in 2023, especially for Nintendo, who you would have thought that would like start winding down. Especially when there were like people saying that Tears of the Kingdom will be like the final big game, but then we got Super Mario Bros. Wonder, we got Pikmin 4, we got Mario RPG, and they announced for this year, 2024, the remaster of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which was being clamoring for a lot of people, and the wishes just come true. And I think Nintendo's getting a message. I think they understand that even when they don't have pretty much not much to show, because we're already reaching the end of the console's lifespan, is the fact that they're still willing to put the work for their fans, because in the end of the day, this is their most successful consoles. We recently just got the report that it's the best-selling console of all time in Japan, the best Nintendo selling console in all Japan, with more than 150 million units sold, which is mind-blowing. And no wonder, Super Mario Wonder joke there, that they're gonna keep supporting until its very, very last breath. But yeah, I mean, that's a little journey on regards of like the Switch over the years up to 2023, and there's nothing more to look forward to 2024 to see what's left and see what's coming next. Alright, now that we talk a bit about the journey of the Switch in terms of evolution, development, and immensely library of games, we're going to touch a little bit on the unique selling points, as well as some of the critiques and areas of improvement that this brought us with, because of course the Switch, as successful as it is not perfect. So we need to touch on those and just reminiscent on how these things evolve, for better or worse, the way you want to look at it. But to start off real quick with an example, of course, we talk about the versatility of the Switch as a unique selling point, of course, being a hybrid console. Something that people thought impossible at some point. Because yes, we had our home consoles and then we have our handhelds. We see other companies try handhelds with no much success, as they say, but Nintendo keep knocking it out of the park with their Game Boys back in the 90s, the DS's, and now the Switch doing that jump. And again, we're going back to this discourse of whether the Switch is a handheld or it's a home console. It's a hybrid. I mean, I think the Switch just created the new genre, which is hybrid console per se. And the best example of this is like how years later now we have so many gaming consoles on the go, handhelds, Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and so many, like the Lenovo one, which I don't remember and I want to get really, really soon. hopefully. But just the inspiration of how the Switch, again, we call it the Switch effect. People call it the Switch effect for a reason. There's nothing more convenient that have the console and your favorite games available at any time on the palm of your hands. And I think that's what defined this generation of gaming. Again, Nintendo is never about power, graphics cards, frames per second and all that. It's all about the experience and how they keep the audience hooked with their products. And I think the Switch was such a pivotal point on that matter, because now the standard is, okay, cool stuff, but can I play on the go? Oh, cool stuff, but is it portable? Can I play on my TV and then play offline on my own console, on my own hands? It's just mind-blowing. And that's what the whole Switch effect is all about, and why people bring it up so much in so many conversations, because I don't think a selling point like that you can find it anywhere that works as seamlessly as the Nintendo Switch. Whether you need a subscription to be always online or things like that, I think the Switch just nailed it by just having the console in the palm of your hands. Just put a cartridge and you're good to go, my friend. No like downloads requirement unless it's like a bigger game. Of course, we know that. But like the whole concept, especially in the first party, can we just talk about how Nintendo are wizards in terms of game compression? I mean, look at Tears of the Kingdom, for example. We have 2.5 because I think the sky is there's not much to explore in the sky, to be honest, but we have 2 different versions of Hyrule in the same game, and the fact that there's barely any load times, and for going to the sky, to the surface, to the depths, just on one dive, no loading screens whatsoever, it's just bonkers. They are the kings of optimization, and there's no way to denying that. The way that they can, just compress their games. Again, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I mean, it's not a big game, we know that, but we see how beautiful that game is, how well it looks. And it's all on that little cartridge. It's just amazing. And, people might complain that the Switch is not powerful enough, or they should take more consideration like the graphics and the performance. And yeah, at some point they're absolutely right. I mean, Pokemon is the bad example of that. It's kind of embarrassing that Nintendo does not hold the Pokemon company to some certain standards on that regards. We know it's possible. That's the thing. We have proven games that are larger and bigger than others, and they're way better optimized than others that are not even half the size and run 10 frames per second. Barely the console can handle them for some reason. But anyway, which leads me also to the next topic, which is of course the ways you can play. We're talking about 3, maybe 4 different modes, maybe even more, depending on the game that you're playing. You can either play your TV with your Pro Controller. You can either play with your Joy-Cons, separated, using the Joy-Con grip. You can take out the Switch, put it on the table, with the tabletop mount and the kickstand, and play with your controller, with your Joy-Cons again. You can play with your Joy-Cons sideways. The marketing on that regards was just perfection in terms of how to sell this to, your casual audiences. Because yeah, of course, I mean, we're not going to talk hardcore gamers. We're going to always play with the Pro Controller, myself included. But it's just the fact, it's just that I like to call this the gift of choice. They're giving us the choice to play these games however we want them, on different ways that they can offer. And there's nothing more gratifying for a consumer to have options in the market. Sometimes if you're just locked into one set of ways and it's not your cup of tea, the whole experience of the whole thing gets ruined, and you just need to sit down and wait until the next thing comes out. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly here, but I'm sure you guys can understand where I'm coming from. You can just pick however you wanna play any game. You can literally be laying down on your bed, facing up with your Joy-Cons, one left, one right, and play Breath of the Wild without moving a finger. And that's fine. Of course, as long as the Joy-Cons work properly, which we'll get there in just a second. But again, Nintendo, genius at marketing, at least with this generation. Of course, the Wii U was such a confused era. But the Switch, they really nailed it on that regards. But now, we're gonna look back into the not so great things that happens. And since we're talking about the Joy-Cons, might as well continue. The Joy-Cons. Joy-Con drift. Why? Why? It's more so like they knew it was there, but they didn't even talk about it. I think they focused more on showcasing the Joy-Cons as the HD rumble and how interactive they can be. But oh my god, that left joystick is just a disaster. I think we sent every Joy-Con in this household to Nintendo for repair for free when they were doing it. I don't know if they're still doing it right now, but literally every single Joy-Con, once they announced they were doing free repairs, it was just we just took advantage of that, and we just keep sending and for nothing, because I would think that I would find myself like maybe 2-3 months later, the first Joy-Con that I sent over started to drift again. So I mean, of course, the third-party alternatives and replacement that came up there and kind of fixed the problem, they're very welcome. It's just it is a shame that Nintendo, especially when they did revisions with the Switch Lite, which doesn't carry Joy-Cons, but even the console itself has like kind of the same material, and that is even worse, because if a Switch Lite gets Joy-Con drift, you need to change the whole thing, my friend. Or you need to at least to take the whole console apart just to replace the little stick. But back to my point, when they released the OLED, they had an opportunity to fix that. And they kind of tried it, but it didn't fix the problem permanently either. So at this point, they were like past half the generation. I feel they just went, you know what? Let's just push through it. I mean, in the end of the day, it's a topic of conversation. It's a meme. People keep talking about Joy-Con drift, and that's all it did was just bring Nintendo a little bit more publicity and networking and trending on the social media platforms, which in the end of the day is what every company wants. Social media is just the pinnacle of reputation right now. So as sad as it might look like, it's just the way it goes. But yeah, I mean, of course, we talk about software support, firmware updates were there. I mean, nothing that like mind-blowing that improved performance, unfortunately, or anything. We did have the addition of Bluetooth. The console had Bluetooth, but for some reason we couldn't connect our headphones to it. And until 2021, I think they did the update. It's still way late on the Switch lifespan, but hey, they added it in the end. Yay! What else we got? The eShop. Oh my god, the eShop is terrible. I hate to say it, but why would you make it so complicated to navigate? I mean, I understand that at some point there were no games, but now there's so many, but it's so slow, and the fact that it's just web-based, it's not a native one, it drives me insane. Especially coming from older consoles like the 3DS, the Wii U, the Wii. Navigating their online shop was even kind of nice because you had the background music, a little nods there. For example, on the Wii, every time you downloaded something, you had like the Mario from Super Mario Bros. 1, the sprite just going back and forward and hitting the blocks. On the eShop, you had a little bag filling up with the little, ornaments. They look like ornaments. I don't know what to say. Even the Wii U, it was a little more serious, but I don't know. There was like, they had some personality. And they took that away, and again, we go back to what we said before in terms of that, like, Switch design. They wanted to be more like, hey, this is a console just to play games, and that's it. But come on, man, you need to add a little bit of a personality there. Like, I want to hang out on the eShop, like, make sure to browse, but every time I browse, it's like, I press the button to go down, or it takes like 3 seconds just to, like, move over the pages, or, like, to load the game. I don't know. I feel like it should have been addressed much better, but this is what we got. Unfortunately, yeah, it might be the worst like online store out there. I hate to say it, but it's quite the truth. And of course, last but not least, we have to talk about folders and themes, especially themes. Oh my god, black and white, are you serious? I think they were like somebody found like old demos of the Switch layout, and they had red, blue, green. It were just so easy to put some themes, man, especially coming from such a consoles with so many personalities, like the 3DS. I mean, come on, you can add themes to that. The Wii U, even, it was more like alive. Like, I'm not asking it to be like super like mind blowing. Like, in the end of the day, the Switch has a very sleek design, and I think it kind of worked to the point that, you know, at the end of the day, you just want the console to play games, that you don't want the console to be like a freaking I don't know, control panel, business center, social media platform, which people might want that, and that's completely fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a video game console. You want to play games on it. You put the gameplay, and that's it. But, you know, a little bit of color at least wouldn't be very nice. And the folders, yeah, the folders are there, but not in the way that, I mean, it doesn't make a point to make a folder if I had to go one or two menus to find the folder and then find the game when I have the game right in front of me. It wouldn't be much easier just to have the folder in front. My Marios, click on my Marios, play Mario Wonder. My Zeldas, play Link's Awakening HD, and so on and so on. Again, good additions, just not well implemented on that regards. And like I said, we mentioned that the topic of performance. Of course, the Switch, as Nintendo, again, Nintendo's not known for being a powerhouse in terms of performance and graphics, more about gaming experience. But they should really address when some of the games on their first party line especially are not up to the standards. And I'm gonna bring again my broken record with Pokemon. It's very sad to say that Pokemon Sword and Shield, that came out first, sometimes looked and run better than Scarlet and Violet, which Scarlet and Violet should have been a turning point in the series, being the first fully open world Pokemon. Honestly, I wouldn't take the same art style of Sword and Shield that was much closer to the 3DS games if the game was gonna run better. And then they just didn't do anything, and the Pokemon Company keeps ignoring that, and it's very, very frustrating, man. You know, I'm a Nintendo fan, and I know when I need to take the L on that matter. And Pokemon is literally so many updates that they did, and I don't know. It's just it's concerning when like the biggest franchise, the highest grossing franchise in the entire world, cares more about the schedule than good quality product. But it is what it is. The new console is coming out. Hopefully, they will do some patch to make the games run better. I'd be happy to reset my save and start over Pokemon Scarlet and Violet if the Switch 2, Super Switch, whatever it's called, will improve the performance. But I hope that for the future, Nintendo takes a little bit of feedback that yes, we got the experience nailed down, we had the gimmick, there's nothing to change in terms of portability, the hybrid concept and all that. I think for this new generation to come, if you want to call it generation, it's all about performance. And we're not talking about, again, powerhouse, we're talking about consistency, we're talking about good quality and good enough to have a great experience. Which leads me to the final point on this podcast today, which is our wish lists for the Nintendo Switch 2, the sequel, the next console, the refresh, whichever you want to call it. I think it's very important to clarify that we're not going to go by rumors, leaks, people saying this and that. The internet is right now a hellhouse just in terms to predictions and people trying to say something here that is going to release this year, that is going to release next year, that is not going to release at all, that doesn't exist. So we're not going to go by that. We're going to go by our own wish list of what we would like on a successor of the console, whether if it's a completely different concept or it's just a refresh, whatever. This is what Daniel will like on the next iteration. So here we go. First and foremost, one thing that Nintendo has done so far is to keep the main element of every console that has released. And this goes back when they released the Switch and they showed that presentation in January. They explained how they try to carry on some aspects or the main aspect of each console that they released so far up to the new system. That being said, it is very clear that the next console will continue to be a hybrid, just a more powerful one. I mean, we already saw that the Steam Deck and all the third-party handhelds that release that are as powerful or slightly less powerful than a PC can be done. And I think Nintendo just took the time to see the competition, see what they can do on their own. And that's what they're going to do right now. They're going to release a new hybrid, more powerful. It's going to be better aspects, I'm thinking. I mean, right now the Switch, I think, has 8 gigabytes of RAM. So doubling that to 16 should be the next step. That could be more, absolutely. But again, we need to remind ourselves this is Nintendo. They're not going to go create something that is going to be super expensive. We want it to be affordable. And in the end of the day, like I said, Nintendo are the kings of optimization. Sorry. And they will do their wizardry to make their first party games run like butter. So 16 gigabytes is almost guaranteed, I would think. I'm going to regret that saying that, but I would say that that's like the logic step to do. Please, Nintendo. Storage wise, I want to say they're going to keep it low still. I would be very surprised if we get at least 128 gigabytes. I think they're going to keep it at 64, and with the expansion with the SD card, it's just, you know, again, saving costs, trying to get more units done and shipped as soon as possible. And, you know, we already lived the pandemic in case, you know, there's like another chip shortage or any sort of issue. So they would like to just keep it simple, you know. If anybody wants to get a bigger SD card, they can just do that. And like I said, again, I'm pretty sure they'll know how to optimize their games to work that way, even if they are like better and bigger and require more specs, as they will bring with this console. I would say in terms of games, of course, performance is going to be key. We already show a couple of examples on where the system needs to work on, you know. At the end of the day, every developer works differently, and they will optimize their game the best they can do, but they have to have a bare minimum that needs to be provided by the company that owns the console. So I feel like performance-wise, they need to be more powerful. Games should run... If they're gonna run at 30 frames per second, they have to be like locked in, dead set. I believe that going lower than 30, it's already like below standards at this point. So if you can get at least a locked in 30 frames per second as a minimum, then bare minimum, I'm sure they can just get away with that. But I would expect that some of the games that they release on the Switch will be enhanced, which brings me to the next point. It has to be backwards compatible. There's no way that they won't keep riding the Switch effect to the Switch 2. More so because I know they really want to be the best side console ever, topping the PS2 and the DS. So they're going to keep... Yes, they're going to release the Switch 2, but the games are going to be still compatible with the Switch, at least for the first year or two. Before they discontinue it or whatever they're gonna do with it. But I'm sure that a lot of people will keep buying the first Switch, the Switch 1, whatever you guys are gonna dub it when that happens. But yeah, I mean, there's no way that the system won't be backwards compatible. If it's not, there's gonna be a war. I tell you that right now, not only online but by myself. I will be leading the turf war on that matter. But yeah, of course, performance. I kind of expecting also to be for the Joy-Cons to be still compatible. I mean, if it's gonna be retro compatible with the older games, the Joy-Cons need to work, right? So I feel like the Joy-Cons will still be compatible with the new system, but I think that for this specific one, I want to say there's not gonna be Joy-Cons per se. I feel like the Joy-Cons will be compatible. You will be able to play the games and get all the features, HD Rumble and all that with the current Joy-Cons. I'm not sure if Nintendo is gonna re-release them. I feel like the system is gonna be a single unit with the controllers attached, and every time you wanna just take it out, then you'll play with it in handheld mode. It's just that it's not gonna be like a swappable Joy-Cons. If it is, I hope they learned the lesson. But I would just go for like the better handheld experience and just keep it attached. You know, just basically like the Switch Lite, but like well done. That's the approach that I would take on that matter. One wish list I would definitely be grateful. This is something I actually brought out to everybody I know, my husband, some friends, when we're talking about this stuff, is that I really wish that they will take the opportunity to somehow bring back the dual screen feature of the Wii U, but now, like, you know, as intended, like they were intending back in 2010, 2011 when the Wii U was a thing, and now make it a reality with the Switch. My really wishful console layout would be just have the console, yes, have the portable, right, that you can use on dock and take on the go, but make the dock actually like a console unit that once you dock it in, you can play the games as noted, you know, and you play with your Pro Controller and all that, but then have the dock be an actual console as well, and somehow try to bring back the Wii U features into the new system to the point that you can still, even when you have the Switch undocked, you can still see the Switch image on the screen, and you can have the secondary screen on your hand. That way we can get all those ports from the Wii U that couldn't make it because they couldn't make work the dual screen. I know 100% that's not gonna be the case, but how cool would that be? Because that will bring us the opportunity to port 3DS game as God intended, even DS games to a home console, and that would be amazing. I think that will be like the next step, because they keep bringing older games from previous like handhelds, Game Boy Advance, and there's some DS games that they rework the controllers, but let's face it, very few had really had the same impact as they were reworked, and it didn't turn out so good. The World Ends With You, I think, is a perfect example of that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like if they can somehow make the Wii U done right, but also make it portable like the Switch. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly. Basically, just do the Wii U correctly. You know, use today's technology, make up for the mistake of 10, 12 years ago, and do it right. You already did it with the Switch halfway. If you can bring back the dual screen gameplay, that's gonna be amazing, especially for upcoming games that can really use that feature. Very well done. But yeah, I mean, other than that, of course, games. I mean, of course, we can speculate games, but games is very, relative at this point. Of course, I want my new 3D Mario. I want the next Zelda, which I'm not rushing because I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. If anything, I would like for the performance boost so I can play Tears of the Kingdom at 60 frames per second. That would be amazing. But, games is very relative. They keep releasing games every year. I'm sure we're going to get our Marios, our Zeldas, our Pokemons. Yeah, of course. And just to be in line with other consoles, I would say, it's being the system much more powerful. I wouldn't see why developers wouldn't bring their games to the console, which they already did with the Switch, the majority of them, because again, the Switch effect, the portability. Now, if you can do that in a more powerful way, that you don't compromise a lot of performance, because I mean, in the end of the day, it's gonna be still underpowered than the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and whatever comes next, because apparently they're on the half of their life cycle now, both of them. But just, you know, alright, we already had the examples with the PC handhelds. The Switch just needs to get on that board, and you know, I don't know if it's gonna upsell the main Switch right now. It's very weird for a successor to do that, but if they do it right, they might, and it's gonna be great. I just can't wait for the announcement. I mean, I'm still love my Switch, and again, it's still my favorite console of all time. I don't think I spend much time on a system like I did with this one, but yeah, it's time for the refresh. Whenever it's coming, I hope it's done correctly. I just hope it's this year, for the love of God, because it's looking very thin for games, and you know, I know it could be another 2020 situation, but we had the pandemic there. There's no pandemic right now, so I would think that they will take the advantage, at least to market, at least announce it. Even if you push it back to the first quarter of 2025 and try to do like a March release like you did with the Switch 1, although I don't approve that idea, at least start marketing it, because it's already obvious that it's the next move. Like, I feel like we are in the end of the lifespan on the Switch in terms of performance. It's running behind, and it's time to move on and enjoy the future and be up to par to the competition. And with that brings us to the end of this episode today. I want to thank you for hearing me rambling for an hour of me just talking about my favorite console of all time. If it's your favorite console of all time, I'm sure you enjoy this podcast as much as I did. So if you do so, you know what to do. You can hit like, you can subscribe, you can follow, whichever the support system of the platform of your choosing is. Please click it, push it, whichever you need to do to support this cause, this channel, and this project, which I'm really enjoying so far. Today we talk about the Switch, we retrospective the 7 years of the system, and we are now looking forward the future. So who knows, maybe when this gets published, we actually get the news of the new system. Maybe we'll get nothing at all. So we'll see what the future plays out. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, everybody. This has been great so far. Again, if you really enjoyed this podcast, make sure to support in any way you can. And we'll be releasing the next episode very soon. So for that, stay tuned on your social media of Pressframes so you can find me. And once again, if you want to get the 1-2-switcheroo live experience, we stream on Twitch every week. You can find me on twitch.tv/1-2switcheroo. Make me crazy with Mario Maker, or let's get Rumble on Smash, or any other games that I would like to share with you all. So once again, thank you so much for listening, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is Daniel, aka 1-2switcheroo, signing off. Game on.